The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hey everybody, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, for wherever in the world you are. This is Ken Krell, and on behalf of all of us here at the Institute for Totalpreneurship, welcome to today's presentation. We have a lot in store for you, but before we get started, a couple of things. Number one, want to make sure that you can hear me okay, so if you can, do me a favor and please pop in the chat and give me a yes and tell me where you were actually calling in from today. I see a lot of familiar faces and names. I guess I don't see your face. I do see your names. So just pop in the chat. Tell me you can hear me. Luis is in from Chicago. Good to see you, Luis. Tony's in from Virginia Beach. Fantastic. Robert's in from Melbourne. Awesome. Oh, happy winter time. I was in Melbourne about a month ago, Robert. Fell in love with it again. But boy, was it cold. Catherine's in from California. Dan is in from are you in New Hampshire, Dan? I keep forgetting. You're from Halifax. I didn't realize you were in Halifax. Why am I not thinking that? I knew you were up there somewhere. Okay. Randy's in from Pasadena. Amy's in from Peoria. Haven't been there in a long time. So great. You can hear me okay. That's excellent. We have people from all over the world, which is terrific. So I'm thrilled to have you guys here. So as part of our ground rules today, I want to make sure that you recognize that the next hour or so is designed for you. And so if you would turn your cell phones, put them in the silent or vibrate mode. If you've got Skype going, turn the dings off on Skype. Let's give yourself the gift of sanity for the next hour while we build a future for you guys, because there's so much here. Roger's in from South Australia. Fantastic. There's so much for you that we've got planned, and we want to work at a pretty quick pace today because I value your time. So with that said, let's get started. For those of you that are not familiar with me, this is there's a picture of me in Nepal from a couple of years ago. I am a serial entrepreneur. I like to look at things that make economic sense and that are efficient and effective and really building lifestyle businesses rather than building busy. So that's really what I'm about, and I created the Institute for Totalpreneurship to help entrepreneurs like you become totalpreneurs to build their lifestyle businesses. And I live here in Bangkok. I travel the world as much as I possibly can and do it from a web-based platform, which I know a lot of you guys are wanting to do as well. With me today is my buddy, Eric Roberts.
Hey Ken, how are you? Nice to be here with you.
It is early morning here in Bangkok.
I'm a little bleary-eyed, but it's okay.
we woke up Eric and his new bride, and so now we're actually doing this live. Eric is literally sitting right next to me. So we are actually here together sharing a mic. This is like the Eric and Ken show this morning. So we have.
I always wanted my own breakfast show.
This is our breakfast show. That's right.
Good morning, Bangkok.
So Brian, there may be replay, there may not. We are recording it, but I never can guarantee whether go to webinar will actually provide or not. But I want you to stick around to the end because we do have some special stuff for you guys, and we're only doing that for those that stick around to the end. So do be with us. The live is always better than the replay because you get to talk to us, which also reminds me to tell you that we are monitoring the chat. So when each of us are talking, the chat room is still going. So ask your questions, make your comments, participate. I love doing live events because I can look in people's eyes. But frankly, on a webinar, the only eyes I get to look at are the eyes that come from questions. So stick around. I know for some of you it may be late. If you're in Europe, it's late, and I appreciate your being here. Because trust me, I've been at the 3 and 4 a.m. webinars. So we will try and stay as entertaining as we possibly can. Anyway, so you're looking at this beautiful picture of Eric. Let's have Eric tell you a little bit about why he's here, what his story is pretty quickly, and then we're going to press right on to some great content. So away we go.
Okay, well, my background I started in radio, and at the ripe old age of 18, I took over my father's radio station. He died before I was born, unfortunately, and I built it up to 7 stations, and then through a series of events ended up selling those and going on to working in LA as a consultant. I was very young, 24, 25, I think, and I'd had enormous success and people were really interested in who I was and how I did it. So I did a lot of consulting there. The next slide, if Ken pushes the button.
Okay, Ken, push the button.
I ended up working in the film industry as a consultant, as a script writing consultant, and we set up a company and created a film called Ferngully, which many of you would know about because it was a huge hit, and it was a wonderful thing to work on. I then went on to creating the world's first travel blog, which had 250,000 people following us in 1996, in really like one of the first years of the web. It was a massive success. We were just behind, I think it was Penthouse magazine in the global rankings. So, which is kind of
I'm not touching that. This would be a great morning drive time conversation, but I'm not touching that.
But all through my career, I was into real estate, and I decided at one point that I really wanted to live in the South Pacific, and so I took over a derelict property and turned it into a major resort, and the most important cultural centre in the South Pacific. And then, of course, there was a coup in Fiji, and I won't go into the details, but I ended up back in Australia, living in a combi van, lighter by about 25 million and owing about $180,000, and trying to figure out what on earth I was going to do with myself. And there was where Intervestor was born. So that's kind of my background in a very quick nutshell. These are some of my friends. This is the part where you normally see the Ferraris and the big mansions and the speedboats, but that's really not how I like to live my life. So I live in Bali now. We're just visiting Bangkok. And these are the kind of dudes I hang out with there.
He's not kidding.
There's a special event called Nyepi there. It's like New Year. The whole country stops for 2 days and meditates. It's just beautiful, actually.
Awesome.
So next up, this is my lovely bride, my wife. I was going to say girlfriend because it's very fresh. I forget.
But she'll always be your girlfriend.
She still is, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And my daughter, and I actually have 4 kids. This is the 2 younger ones, and that was at our wedding last week with Ken. He came. My daughter actually gave us away. So one of her lines was, "By the power invested in me by Mummy and Daddy," which everybody loved.
Brilliant. It was brilliant. Yeah. It was absolutely brilliant.
And so that's me in a nutshell, in a very quick nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about what we're doing is that we're talking about some rather serious financial and lifestyle choices, and we're living the lifestyle we talk about. So what we're really coming from is the position of living your inner hippie, but having the money to support it in the way that you want.
Well, the interesting thing is, I mean, I was very successful. I made tens of millions of dollars. I raised hundreds of millions of dollars on real estate deals, actually, before everything went through the fan and out the other side in Fiji.
Yeah.
But I had all of that real estate investing experience, and even though it was a global financial crisis at the time, couldn't raise money to save yourself. It was Intervestor that brought me back to the world, and it started because I wanted to have a business that I could run from anywhere, that allowed me the freedom of not being tied to a particular place, or particularly in a particular political regime, and gave me freedom to work anywhere. And that's exactly what Intervestor gave me. And a lot of the skills that I had in real estate were easy to translate over into investing.
So the big question is, how many of you want to have that kind of lifestyle where you can do things on your own terms, where you can take your current position, whether it's great or whether it's less than what you want, and turn that into the lifestyle that you're dreaming about? If that's you, put in the chat and say yes. We're going to be happy. I can't have you raise your hands because I can't see you. So just put in the chat and say yes. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you about. I've got a lot of yeses coming through. Randy, Brian, Tom, Shirley, yes, all of you, fantastic. Dan, for sure. So today's agenda is really simple. We're going to talk about the 5 key steps to Intervesting and what that means to you. We're then going to talk about the sobering statistics and how you can actually win with them. We'll talk about the formulas for success, which is going to be a lot easier than you may think. And for those of you like me who like to manage our risk, okay, well, you'll learn how to start safely. You learn how to start safely. Freddie's like, how much? We'll tell you later, Freddie. Trust me, it's going to be great. Don't worry. Because yes, Freddie's like, okay, what's the offer? We'll get there, Freddie. I promise we'll get there. In fact, here's the way we're going to play this. I'm going to give you some significant content over the next hour or so. And over the next few minutes, we're going to give you the summary of what everything is, so you know exactly why you're here. in my email, I said, give me 15 minutes, and I know we're getting close to that. So I want to get right to the guts of what this is all about. So here's the thing. If we give you fabulous content, do we have your permission to tell you about the Intervestor program and give you a phenomenal offer to consider and be part of? If that sounds great for you, type yes in the chat. And I've got a lot of yeses here already because you guys read the slide before I answered it. So let's get going. And by the way, this is your choice. It's all up to you. You guys know me. If those of you who've been on my webinars, we don't do pitch-a-thons. We do train-a-thons, and we're going to do that. So this is all permission-based. So thrilled to have you guys with us. Let's rock.
Look at all those yeses.
A lot of I know. This is awesome. We got a fabulous crowd today. Well, and it's interesting. We'll talk about marketing later on, but it's interesting the way we market it. I tried to market this without being direct, and it didn't pull as much as make $39,000. So really interesting how that works out. And that whole business about market testing is part of some of the biggest frustrations that people have. This PDF you're seeing on the screen right here, we will give you after the event is over, so you actually have a complete flow chart on an infographic. Now, this slide was supposed to actually appear one by one, but that's okay.
So you better go through it quickly because I've probably finished reading it by now.
I didn't get to animate it. But does this look like some of the challenges that face you right now in your business? Whether it's traffic, momentum, outsourcing, e-commerce, money, market, affiliates, risk, relationships, the failure rate, 90%, and so on. This is what faces all of us, yes? Well, and if you take a look at what Rick Sheffrin put together a few years back with his Internet Marketing Manifesto, this is the scariest. I was there when he revealed that at a live event at Big Seminar, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, and this scared the hell out of me too. That's the challenge that faces all of us right now as web-based business owners, frankly, as any kind of business owner. Because if you're not converting to a web-based business, you've got an issue there. So, in any event, that's kind of the big challenge there. In fact, if this is what your life probably looks like when you're in that mode, and if that's where you are, we start out the morning kind of like this, right? Is this your life right now, and this is the way you want to live? The answer to that, of course, is no. You want to be able to be on the beach or be on the ski slope or be on the boat or just be with your family or whatever it happens to be for you. That's what we're trying to create for you. So how would it be if we could actually have a business, in fact, create a business rather than starting from scratch where businesses fail at the rate of 90%, but actually be able to pick a business, own a business, and actually, better yet, how about just picking a winner and winning, okay?
I like this slide a lot more.
I like this slide a lot more. I like this slide a lot more. In fact, by the way, there is a business that sells these graphics that we looked at just the other day, as a matter of fact, and thought it might be a possibility for us, as a matter of fact. This is actually a business you could buy, by the way.
The one that makes these posters.
The one that makes these posters online, yeah. So I mentioned this one to Eric, and he's like, this could be interesting. But there's reasons why we passed on it, which we can get to a little bit later. Anyhow, think about it this way. If you're going to go to the racetrack, wouldn't you like to know who's going to win the race before you get there? Well, short of rigging the race, we came as close as we could because by actually doing the due diligence on existing businesses, you can pick the winner before you ever get into business. And that's the key to why Intervesting works. Take a look at it this way.
This is why this is so much better than starting from scratch.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Just recently, we decided to test a new promotional concept that we're working on for some of the people that we're working with. And I actually decided to build some new websites and start them from scratch. And I forgot just how much work there is in it. It's unbelievable.
It's huge. So, and the thing about it is because you're new and you're doing things that are untested, you're dealing with things like this. Spending tons of money on education and training, okay? You've got the years, and it's not just months to make money, it's years of time to build that foundation of a business where you're going to have something that's stable and that you can count on. You've got negative cash flow during that time frame because you're having to feed the training, feed the website, feed everything that you're dealing with. And that doesn't come without stress, of course. And there's no leverage for you. There's absolutely no leverage because you're putting all your cash in. The only possible leverage is that maybe you did it with a credit card. But after a while, that stops. So the bottom line is you've got no asset that's saleable that you can really do anything with until time progresses. If you're intervesting, there's a whole different ballgame. You're going to spend much less money in education because you don't need to have as much because you're already taking over an existing business that already is making money. Yes, you're going to put money into investing in that business. You'll buy that business, But if you do it right, you can actually do it with zero of your own money if you do it right. We'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. You have instant cash flow, which of course is a lot better than waiting years to get the cash flow. And of course you have the instant cash flow because you know exactly what the business is going to do before you buy it. And we'll show you how we do that. Significantly less stress. Think about it. You buy a business for $10,000 and it makes you $1,000 a month. You know, you're clean and clear with profit within 10 months, but you got cash flow of $1,000 coming in every single month. Is there stress there? Very, very little. Okay, you can leverage your investment as you Intervest because you can use credit to buy your business, and you can bring in partners to help fund your business, which is why we created Intervestor Capital.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is that you've got traffic and you've got cash flow from day one. So optimizing your websites is significantly easier because you've got people pushing through them all the time. Whereas when you're starting up, it's really difficult to get the thing optimized properly because you've hardly got any traffic.
Exactly, and that's the frustrating thing. It's like you watch all these webinars about people. Let's test this and let's try this and that. And it's like you buy all these things because we've done it, and it doesn't. There's no velocity of people going through. So your statistical analysis based on maybe 200 clicks, if that many, doesn't have any bearing when you can compare that with like 10,000 clicks. And by the way,
500,000 clicks.
Yeah, and by the way, with an investing property that you're buying, you own an asset. It's saleable, so you actually have something that you can work with. Think about it this way. And Julie's asking, are we talking about flip? Julie, we will be talking about flip in a minute. That's one source of finding great deals, not the only source by any means.
This is not a flipper strategy.
And by the way, this is not, when you mention flipper, we're not talking about buying and reselling websites. We're talking about actually owning web-based businesses for cash flow for the long term. If you're flipping businesses, that's a different business. That's not long term. We want you to be wealthy for the long term and not having to go back and forth. Julie's like, phew, thank goodness. Yeah, no, this is not the strategy. This is buy and hold, like buying and holding real estate. Think about it this way. I thought about what a great metaphor this really is. Let me see if I can get the slide up here. Think about my favorite plant, by the way, my favorite flower is the impatient. Patient Lucy. And why they call it Patient Lucy? Because if you buy the seeds, you got to be patient to go ahead and grow it. This, by the way, the picture on the right is 6 weeks after you sowed the seeds. Now, I don't know about you, but if I want
a startup to me.
Yeah, it's a startup, exactly. And the thing about it is, do you want to be waiting 6 weeks to get? There aren't even flowers here yet at 6 weeks, okay? And you got a mess in the house and all this business. For me, I'd rather just go down to Home Depot, buy a few flats of it, and by the way, they're on sale, and have a garden that afternoon. Now, that to me is interesting. Okay, just add water, babe. That's it. Just add water. Julie's got it figured out. So I thought that was probably one of the best metaphors, that and building a house. I don't know about you, but I mean, I've been a builder and a rehabber, and it's a whole lot better to buy an existing property where you can already move in rather than finding the land, getting the zoning, finding the builder, dealing with the contractor, dealing with the plans and the architect and all that madness, having maybe a year to build that property. And in the meantime, you're still funding. Well, yeah. Well, in the meantime, you're wondering whether you're going to get a divorce. You're wondering how you're going to manage 2 mortgages at one time, and on and on and on. And
actually, I made most of my money in real estate was made on rehabbing existing buildings.
I was a rehabber for years.
My best one, I bought a building for $900,000. I refurbished it for $17,000, and I sold it for $1.9 million 8 months later.
Isn't that fabulous? I mean, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So I'm still a real estate lover. But having, just as Eric had this challenge in real estate, I lost millions of dollars in real estate. So I love making deals and making deals on digital property where I can make the deal from here in Bangkok or on the beach in Bali or in the south of France. Doesn't matter. That's the beauty of all this. Now, you guys saw an email where I talked about how to get 37,000 customers overnight. You want to see how we do it? Because it's real. You guys want to see? Type yes in the chat and I'll show you. Okay, I'm seeing a bunch of yeses here. Okay, here we go. This is for you, Brian, Wayne, Julie, David. All right,
wow,
here it is. Here it is.
Yeses.
I was looking on Flippa. Okay, you asked me about Flippa. I was at Flippa.com. Again, one of the sources that we use for looking for websites for sale. And I found this website, extensiondefender.com. This is real. I put the slide up. I made the slide last night. Okay, look at this. It's a browser extension with 37,000 active users. Those are customers, my friends. Active
buyers.
users.
That's a buyers list.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. So now, you'll notice, though, it doesn't make any money, but 37 actives. Now, let me ask you a question. you have 37, and now by the way, they're meaningless to you if you're like in the hair care business, okay? Because this is a website browser extension, so this would be more for technology people, I would think, but not necessarily.
Horses for courses, that's all.
Yeah, not necessarily, but you're just going to pick a targeted market. If this targeted market fits your business, what are 37,000 active users worth to you? Let's just put in the chat. What do you think it's worth to you to get 37,000 active users? Now, will they all turn into customers of your product?
Let's do it per user to make it easy.
Yeah, well, let's give them chances to go ahead and play. But what do you think if you wanted to buy this? It's available for sale right now, by the way, and I will show you in a second after you put in your guess the buy now price. But what would you pay for 37,000 active users that could potentially be customers of your current business? These are not just prospects. These are actual users. What would you pay for that? What are they worth to you? Tony says 10 grand. Okay, anybody else? Any other guesses? This is real, by the way, you guys. This is not an exercise. This is a real deal.
On Facebook, we generally pay between $1 to $2 a lead.
Give me the answer already.
No, it's not an answer for this on Facebook.
Okay, here we go.
It's costing.
Louis says $299,700. I know. I like that. Okay, go ahead. Well, what Eric will tell you is
that's for a lead though. For buyers, it's a lot more.
Yeah, for a lead, what is it? How much a lead?
We spend between $1 and $3 for a lead.
Yeah, think about this. If you're advertising on Facebook, you're paying a buck a lead on Facebook. That would make this $37,000, right? And if you were to mail
to 80,000.
Yeah, and if you were to mail this list, a mailing list has a value generally of about $1 per name, and per mailing, right? Yeah. So you're looking
you can make $1 to $2.
So you're looking at about $37,000 just off of that, for example. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the real deal. Okay, look at it. You can buy it now for $7,500, and the opening bid was $2,000. $7,500 to get 37,000 active users. Now, this is not walking into cash flow. In fact, if you take a look at the monthly cash flow, it's very low. It's about $100. But we wouldn't be buying this for cash flow. We'd be buying this for the actual leads. Freddie says, show me a targeted niche website of hungry buyers with 37,000 active users. Sure, there's plenty of them out there. In fact, when you see the numbers in a few minutes, it'll blow your mind about how many websites are available out there that can actually go to the market you want. But this is pretty significant, don't you think? And this is real. This is right now. If you go to Flippa right now and you look at Extension Defender, you can go search for it. You'll see that very lead. The numbers.
And we're going to train you on how to do that exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
So just hang in there, because there's going to be some real training coming up that will show you exactly how to go about and what to look for and what to avoid particularly.
How many are liking what you're hearing so far? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, me too. So here's the numbers and why I think this is super exciting. Okay, the numbers are phenomenal. Let's say we look at a digital business that's $25,000. Louis says this is very interesting. Yeah, especially since Louis said significantly less than the $299,000 you thought it would be worth. Anyway, so a $25,000 web business. Okay, a real business that's just using the internet to deliver its products and services, we would buy that where it would have at least a 50% rate of return, $12,500 a year.
He did say 50, and that number is correct. And the one that's on the screen is correct. That's what we aim for every time.
Yeah, 50%.
Not 15, not 5.
50.
50%
50.
Net return per annum.
Yeah. Did you guys get that? That's 50%. Okay, now we're talking double digits. We're talking not 11. We're talking about 50.
And this is not like 1 in a million. That's what we aim for as an average.
Yeah, that's the
low end is 30, high end is 100.
That's the game, right? So now that's a 50% rate. How many like this so far? Because I'm about to make it better. All right. So here we go. Now, I like leverage. I'm a big fan of leverage. Okay. So here's how we do it. This thing makes $1,040 per month. Now, how many of you want to spend $25,000 out of your pocket? Probably not a lot of you. A lot of you could, some of you can't. But how about if we used our credit card? And if you borrowed $25,000 off of your credit card or credit cards and had a rate of, I think I computed this at 15.9% or whatever. I went online to what is your payment on a credit card for $25,000? It's $563 a month. Which means that if you got $1,040 coming in and $563 going out, you're making $477 a month, or $5,716 a year. My question is, how much of your own cash is involved in this transaction right now, my friends? How much cash is involved in this thing? And the answer is, how much? Zero. Zero. You financed the entire business with your credit cards at a rate of interest, which is not terribly attractive, mind you, and you're still making nearly $6,000 a year. Yeah, Julie says, you are clever. Yeah, this is not rocket science, you guys. This is common sense, but you got to know how to do it so you do it right. Okay, that's the key. This is how you leverage it. Now, maybe you can't finance all of it with your credit card. Maybe you put half down. Who cares? The bottom line is that the numbers are so significant. You can take this. By the way, you can take this cash flow of nearly $6,000 a year, pay off your credit card, or let it ride. It doesn't matter. We now have a source, by the way, that will help you get business credit with 0% interest up to about $200,000 or $250,000. Our members now have access to that group, which is pretty significant.
When you buy an asset that's making 50%, it's amazing how many friends and family start coming and bugging you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
How do I do that? Can you get me in?
Yeah, and this, by the way, this is not MLM or any. No. This is you're buying a business that's your own. Now, some people ask the question, is it a real business? And the answer is, yeah. Let's take a look at real businesses that are digital. Okay, fascinating here. Look at Uber. And by the way, Eric found this great infographic yesterday. I
posted this on our Facebook page yesterday.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Okay, so Uber is the world's largest taxi company. They have no vehicles. Facebook creates zero content, yet it's the most popular and powerful media owner. Alibaba, and I love what Jack created, the most valuable retailer now in the world, has zero inventory, you guys. Okay, and by the way, they're the company that allowed Yahoo to finally become profitable again. And Airbnb is now the world's largest accommodation provider. They own no real estate.
It's brilliant, really.
It's genius. I wish I thought of that, right? So we're talking about real businesses. This is real business. This is the business of today now. The market has completely changed. And unless you have a business, even if you have a brick and mortar business, unless you add a digital business to it, you're going to find that things are going to change dramatically. So what is intervesting?
Well, intervesting is the art of finding, evaluating, and buying digital assets such as websites, mobile apps, etc. And we've perfected a system for doing that. Now, there are a lot of pitfalls, and that's one of the reasons why we're here, is because every day I see people in Flipper and in other networks, other website advertising networks, that are literally buying rubbish, and I just think, wow, I could really help you, but there's nothing I can do because they're just doing it anyhow. So what we're going to do right now is going to jump straight into some training. Sorry?
I wanted to share just a little bit about who we are too, just before we jump into training, because the whole idea about what Intervestor is and how Eric created Intervestor is he began looking at what he was doing, and he began buying websites with other people and helping them buy websites as a partner. And he did it without his own cash. You made a lot of money with that, any of your own cash.
Yeah, actually, as I mentioned, there was a coup in Fiji. I lost everything. I came back. I was owing $180,000, and I needed to figure out a way that I could start building an income and a life again during the global financial crisis when no one was lending. So Intervestor was actually how I did that, and I did start with zero cash, actually.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Eric created some amazing training, and you'll get to experience some of that in just a minute. We now have the Intervestor Academy, the Intervestor Inner Circle that a lot of you will be joining this today. We also are just launching the Intervestor Buyers Club, and we did that. We were sitting on where were we? On Koh Phangan here in Thailand, getting and planning Eric's wedding, which was phenomenal. And we thought, how can we help people get started right now, take action right now, and while they're in the learning process? So we created Buyers Club, which is exclusive. It's brand new. You're among the few people that be hearing about it. You'll hear more details about it later. But it's about people that are going to join us and actually buy websites with us. You'll actually be part of the actual acquisition team and be an owner of the site with us. We do the work. You watch over our shoulder as we do it.
And learn.
So that you can do it on your own, but also this isn't just like on-the-job training, but you're part owner, and you come in with equity. So it's a really cool opportunity, not for everybody, but for some. And last but not least, the big picture for what is super exciting is Intervestor Capital, where we're buying giant sites, and we're looking at one that's nearly $3 million right now that we're talking to institutional investors about, and that'll be available to investors that are in the range of $25,000 to $50,000 investments, and their returns we're looking at 30% and up. So we're taking you all the way from the beginning concept and training all the way to being a passive investor. And if you have a pension fund, this is the kind of investment you can get involved with us. And it's staggering what's involved. So let's jump in right now and show you how you can actually do it yourself. The cool thing is to know that not only can you do it yourself, but you can also do it with us in a lot of ways. And no, I didn't say 30s, Julie. I said 30. I'm sorry, I didn't say 3. I said 30%. There's a big difference. And Freddie, I'm going to answer your question.
Frankly, I wouldn't be doing this if all I could
No,
do was
3%.
give people 3%.
No, 10 times that is our minimum, 30%. Yeah, sorry if I slurred my words. I'm pretty excited about what we're doing. And Freddie, you asked a question, what's the competition going to be on Flippa? I'll show you in a minute. That is a great scarcity question, my friend, and we're going to teach you how to think past the scarcity and into great abundance. So let's get started, Eric.
Okay, so this is the sort of the fast and dirty way to get started. And that is by jumping into Flippa. And it's not the only place you can do this, but it is a fantastic network, and we actually do work pretty closely with Flippa. So you select established sites, and now you have a couple of different choices. But generally, I go for the editor's choice, or for the most active, and generally that's the best way to go. So here we have one, Techie Passion. It's one I actually know a bit about. And this one was listed at $23,670. I need my glasses. But look at the monthly revenue, $4,680. Now, this is a bid. This is an auction site, essentially, like eBay. So that was $23,000 wasn't the final purchase price or sale price, but it was pretty close to it. So we're looking at a property that's, it has the potential to recover its entire investment in 4 months, 5 months, and this is pretty atypical. Between 6 months and 18 months is what you're looking at, getting all of your money back out. So let's go into the detail of this. We can see that it's a year old, and when we don't like to buy sites that are under a year. And this is one of the classic mistakes that most people make. So you now are armed with the knowledge that minimum 1 year, actually look for sites that are 2 years plus. And in fact, we're going to probably change that 1 year. But there are a few good deals around there, just slightly higher risk. This site's getting a lot of traffic, 51,000. And its net profit is gross revenue is 4,680, but the net profit 4,645. Look at that. Now, how many businesses do you know out there, bricks and mortar businesses, that would have a gross revenue of 4,680 and a net profit, I'll say it again, net profit of $4,645. So it's costing $35 a month to run this business. And I'm pausing intentionally on that because I really want that to sink in. And this is one of the beauties. Now, this site is what we call an AdSense site. So it makes all its money by providing information and just running advertising on the website. And they're extraordinarily cheap to run.
Yeah, and you don't need to do a whole lot of upkeep. All you're going to do is follow things along. In fact, you'll learn to outsource the maintenance of your sites. In fact, even on Flippa, it'll even tell you how much time is required to manage the site.
Yeah.
So you can choose to keep it as it is, or you can go ahead and build it. It's entirely up to you.
In all fairness, I'll be straight up with you. Of that 4,600, I would be spending around about 600 a month. Yeah, AdSense revenue. Oh, the difference between the AdSense revenue and the net profit is that they also run some affiliate offers on the pages. And in fact, the owner is one of my students, and we've spent a bit of time putting in more and more affiliate offers because they tend to convert better and higher yielding.
Yeah. So here's how the numbers played out on this particular deal, because you know this deal. Okay, it sold not for the 23.6, which was where it was on that bid. It sold for $28,000.
Actually, they wanted $50,000 to $60,000, and I helped with the purchase, and we got it down to 28.
and the monthly income of 44,645, annual net 55,740. What's the ROI in that thing?
It's just a little high.
Just a little high. So even if you have to go ahead and add more work to it, for example, or even if the income were to drop a little bit, are you doing okay? That's why I like having big numbers and big returns, because it does allow for you to have variances in the market, and not be worried about, oh my gosh, what if it drops by 10%? You got plenty of room for safety. That's why we mitigate the risk, we eliminate the risk, and that's why following a system is super important. We've developed a system that really is a 5-part system just for starters that will help you make sanity out of this and turn this into a great system. So let's go through it.
Oh, okay. So the most active is, you search for the most active, because they're generally the ones that it cuts out some of the due diligence process right at the front end. We look for good quality revenue and Ken's about to push. Yeah, there it is. And then we also look for good quality traffic. And we check that the age is at least a year, preferably 2. And then we put them in a list. This is what we call the discovery process. We put them in a list and then go and look for another one.
Yeah, in other words, you're not going to go buy the first thing that you see, because quite frankly, a lot of us suffer from the bright, shiny object system. Oh, this is a great one. This is a great one. And at the end of the day, list at least 10 that are possible, and then go and do some work and see just which of the 10 you really want to focus on.
Yeah, one will shine out of the list of 10 that you create.
Yeah, because if you just do one, you're going to miss a lot of others. So and by the way, you'll keep a perspective. It's sort of like looking at job candidates. These websites, these web businesses rather, these digital assets.
They're income candidates.
Yeah, they're candidates for your dollars, for your time, your energy, your effort. And just like if you're buying a house, you're looking at prospective properties that you're going to invest in. So go out with a solid list of what's best, or what you think looks good, and then take it from the 10 and drill it down.
You might find 10 and then and look at it and go, oh, you know what, none of these are really hitting the spot. And then when you do that, you just go and find another 10.
But this will keep you sober. Because it gets very exciting. You can spend hours in flip. It's kind of like spending some time on eBay or Amazon. You can surf forever. And some of these businesses are really fascinating. There's great deals. Wait till you see the numbers.
Another thing that's not in these slides, but I want to mention, is don't spend more than 45 minutes of a morning doing this. And if you do it regularly, it's better.
Yeah, and you may not want to do it every day. I mean, when you're buying a site, do the first transaction, and then get it nailed in, and then go do another one. I wouldn't recommend when you're getting started to do 10 sites. You don't buy 10 houses the first time out. You don't do 10 websites the first time out. Okay, do your first one. Which is why we created Buyers Club, because that way you get to do it with us and see exactly how it's done. Now, some of you asked in the chat, what's the average cost of a website? On Flippa, the average cost on websites that are sold on Flippa.com is only $1,200. So you can buy a website. I saw one the other day for $250, and I think it was making $58 or $100 a month. So you can get started super slow and super small if you want to, and then gradually grow it up, depending on your cash position. Our attitude is do what makes the most sense for you, but the amount of work you're going to do the due diligence and the acquisition and run it will be pretty much the same whether you're buying a site for $1,000 or a site for $100,000.
It's a catch-22. I recommend people buy a small site to start with, because it's actually exactly the same in terms of work and the energy and effort that it takes to run it, which isn't a great deal, but it does take some work. To run a $1,200 site as it does to run a $100,000 site. But it's a great way to cut your teeth and get the experience. And the thing is that, yes, you can always turn it over later.
Yeah.
So the beauty of this is that you can jump into the marketplace at a very low price point with very, very minimal risk, and learn through the process of actually doing, which I find is always so much more effective.
Oh yeah. Now, Freddie, you asked a very great question, which was if everyone goes through our program and goes to Flippa.com, what's our competition going to be like for competing for the same website?
I hear this.
Check out the numbers, Freddie. There's 1 million. This is, by the way, I copied yesterday. 1,524,236 listings right now on Flippa. Do you think that with the people on this website, on this call, even if we filled up the full 1,000 seats and go to webinar, do you think that we would have any competition on 1,000,005 open listings? By the way, 16,000 bids in the last 7 days, 811,000 sales, 52% of them all sold within the past 3 months. You can read the screen. The bottom line is there competition? Zero competition.
Oh, no, actually,
Okay.
look, I'm going to qualify that. Of course, there is competition. There's other people bidding and all of that sort of thing. But there are a lot of properties out there, a lot, more than you can imagine. And so the fatal mistake is thinking that there isn't much going on, because there's an enormous amount going on in this market. There's a limited number of buyers, and that's why the prices on these things are so good. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But
And the market's interesting. People are still not, or at least the institutional investors still are not seeing digital assets as having the same value
they're
as
just starting to, actually.
Yeah.
The brokers, we work with a number of brokers, and they're saying that around about 5% of their sales now in the last 6 months have been to institutional investors. Last year it was zero. The year before it was zero. And so it's starting to catch on, and now we're going to see a shift towards the general market, the average private investor actually looking at this as an opportunity. And there are a bunch of reasons for that, why it hasn't happened yet, which I can explain later to you and will explain later to you. But now is really, this last couple of years has actually been the time to get in, because these sorts of multipliers are not going to last. This will mature. It's an immature market, and that's why the opportunity is so big here. But it won't last. People will get on. People will clue up, and the prices will go up.
Exactly. And so the opportunity is now. This is really ground floor. Even though we're looking at 1.5 million listings, this is still ground floor for us, which is super important. Now, for those of you that are real estate oriented, let me just give you a quick comparison to real estate and why investing is even better than investing in real estate, which is what so many of us are used to. First of all, take a look at risk. You've got a lot more risk in real estate. You don't have to worry about someone tripping and falling in your house, or having the toilet break down on Christmas Eve, right? Regulation with zoning departments, and I mean, you name it. Having been a real estate guy for so long, the regulation from municipalities is just absolutely gigantic, especially with zoning and so on, building codes. The rental management rules. I remember when I owned property in Philadelphia, for example, the tenant pretty much ran the property. You could barely get somebody out without begging the city for help. So it's pretty significant. But also, property management and property management fees are also significant in real estate as well. And again, you've got to be careful with what you're doing. There's no guarantee of appreciation in real estate. I never bought property based on appreciation. That was always the benefit.
I always felt unappreciated.
Yeah. Well, this is my Rodney Dangerfield over here. But yeah, there's no respect, and certainly, I mean, we made a lot of money with appreciation. I bought properties for X and sold it for X times 2 or more, but there's never a guarantee of that. So for people that are buying it that way, they're buying a lot of risk. And what's the ROI in real estate? More and more, we're seeing people that are telling us that real estate investment returns are dropping. And certainly if you're leveraged, and we've taught leverage for years, you can still do very well in real estate. But once again, it's a lot of work. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to do the work. I would much rather have the cash flow and have the benefits that come with something that is lifestyle friendly and location friendly, right? So just looking again at what this market means to us, just think about this, for example, in terms of running a lifestyle business. How much of the world do you think right now is currently online? Any guesses? How much of the world right now is currently online in some fashion? Any ideas, you guys? Julie, I see your comment. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. So Dan says 75%. Anybody else? I would have thought 75% too, Dan, but actually the number as of 2013 is about 40%. And that means that 60% of the globe is still available to us online, which means we're still at our infancy as well. It's gigantic. Global e-commerce in 2013, I don't have closer numbers, over 1.2 trillion with a T dollars. Amazon, for example, grew 27.8% in its revenue in 2013. And by the way, do you think Amazon was the #1 digital retailer? It's not. I did a Google search on it just last week. The #1 digital retailer is, who was it? I forget. I told you I forget who it was now. They also have physical Urban Outfitters. Urban
That's right.
Outfitters,
Yeah.
the #1 digital retailer in terms of digital growth, Urban Outfitters. So what's happening is physical companies, physical brick and mortar stores are going online and are crushing it because they recognize that that's where the profit is. So it's a market that's growing dramatically like that. Or if you want to think about it this way, in something that maybe some of you guys can relate to, it's this kid. It's growing. This kid's going to keep growing no matter what. And this marketplace is going to continue growing no matter what. The key is what way are you going to play? Are you going to try and grow it from scratch, or are you going to go ahead and buy your way in, which to me makes a bunch of sense.
I think it's cheaper actually in the long run.
It is.
It's
absolutely
a lot less stressful.
Listen, I live in Thailand. I don't cook anymore because I can spend a whole bunch of time, energy, and money buying ingredients for my food, or I can go down to the corner and get my soup for $1 and have it right now. So I don't even cook anymore because it's just faster and easier. Stores right now are closing. Unless they do what Urban Outfitters has done, they're closing. And even smart people like Blockbuster are gone because they weren't able to make the transition. So the key is that you can, and this is just a great way of doing it and building your business. So we talked a little bit about some of the people that have been doing Intervesting. And I got a video from a lady named Bernie, and Bernie's pretty cool. Let me see if I can hit the video right now. You should be able to hear it if I hold the microphone close to the screen.
Hi Eric, I was just wanting to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for you producing your Intervestor program. It is by far the best internet program I've ever come across, and I'm happy to report that I've already bought 2 websites this week that are returning 70% plus return on my investment. So I'm happily looking forward to retiring in Costa Rica sooner rather than later. Thanks heaps, I really appreciate it.
So this is the real deal. And wouldn't it be great for you to be able to quit your job years sooner, retire years faster, and have a constant cash flow that's stable, steady, and exciting? So she within 6 weeks of buying that site is $5,800 a month. She now gets a 98% rate of return on her income, and her retirement 5 years early. 5 years early. So it's pretty significant. Now, we're a training company, and we're an investment company, which is pretty cool. We're not just selling stuff online. We actually put our money where our mouth is. We're buying websites now, and it's really cool to be in that part of the business. The fun thing that's even better is, let me ask you a question. What percentage of people that would buy anybody's course and pick any guru out there, what percentage of people are actually putting it into use and are actually taking action on what they learn? And they buy some digital training and put it to use. What do you think the percentage is on that?
It's called the action rate.
Okay. What do you think the action rate is? Okay. Anybody guesses? Wayne says 1%. That's pretty close, Wayne.
It's pretty close.
That's pretty close. It's pretty close.
Yes.
Rainey says 1%.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
1.7%.
1.7.
That's the industry average.
1.7%
So
industry
only
average.
1.7% of people who buy any kind of training program actually put it into action and use it successfully. And we call it shelf help, or at least that's the name I've given all of these sorts of courses. We call it shelf help.
Yeah, and my attitude about it is, which is why we created Results Club, is because we want you guys to actually not just learn but do. I mean, this is not about, well, isn't that interesting information? This is about, let's put it into use and make money. And most of the things that people are watching and learning and hearing about are the how to start a new business kind of thing, right? Or how to enhance your current business. Well, I don't know about you, but that's still buying the seeds and building the house and buying the food, ingredients. I want the money today. So the fun thing about this is that Eric's history with his students is he has an action rate of what percent, Eric?
It's 40% plus.
40% plus.
40% of our people, it's actually a little bit more, go on to buy 1 or 2 profitable website businesses.
Yeah. Now, and
I want it to be 70.
Well, we do, and that's one reason why we created Buyers Club, because that way people can they invest in Buyers Club. Buyers Club requires a $5,000 investment, and that money is used to buy a website. We have a minimum requirement of 20 people in Buyers Club, and we're building that up right now, so that we have at least 20 people that are buying a site. We can buy a bigger site of anywhere from $80 to $100 or more $1,000, and now you're in the game. Now you've got something that you can return and watch how we actually do all the process. So that's really pretty cool. Now, a lot of you are asking, what should we do? How do we get started? Well, first of all, you got to pick a niche, just like any other business. So what do you think are the best niches that we should be looking at? Well, there's 4 that we look at, and quite frankly, there's many more than that, because the bottom line is it's helpful for you to look at what excites you, because you'll spend more energy with it. But it's something also that how can you add these sites to what you're currently doing to multiply your success? I want you to think about that too. Want to jump in on this?
Yeah, sure. These are the fastest growing niches or niches. They're not by any stretch a full list of all the different things that you can do online, but the first one is gaming. Of course, you probably figured that out. And I'm actually interested. If you've got any ideas on what they are, please type them in, because I'm really interested to see how much knowledge you guys have in this area. So yeah, the next one, and don't let Ken jump ahead, throw some ideas in there. The next one is weight loss. It's a massive niche. A lot of people have said that it's going to go away, or it's going to blow up, or it's going to finish. It's never going to go away. Never, ever, ever going to go
and
away.
I'm going to take this from weight loss into health, because all the health things. So, for example, for you, Catherine, this is perfect. For what you're doing. Okay, moving right along.
So the next one is dating. Dating is still a massive niche, and it's growing. I think the number I read recently was 95% of people in New York, and I think it was the same in Beijing actually, between the ages of 24 and 39, meet first online. Can you imagine that? 95% of people.
That's pretty amazing. Now, but I will tell you, my mom is 81 years old. She's dating online. So go mom. So dating relationships, and certainly last on our hit parade of the top 4 is the making money, the entrepreneurship, the business niche.
And it's essentially e-learning generally.
Yeah.
Actually.
So so I decided just to give you the megaphone marketing picture of the lady smiling.
In fact, the reality is that most niches online are growing because the market's growing, and also the number of people entering into the arena is growing. So every year there's massive increases. We did a little exercise, and we had a look around to try and find a niche that really wasn't growing. And these are the options that we came up with. One was spray-on hair, and the other was this weird cocoon thing to stop other people from seeing your screen. So if you see these, just avoid them. They're really not worth it.
Yeah.
It was really hard. It actually took about an hour to find those.
Yeah. And here's the thing that we somebody is asking in here, Freddie's asking about the downside. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. You mitigate your downside by doing something called due diligence. You're never going to buy anything without doing all the work to know what you're getting into. Okay? That's the key. That's the key to success in this. Because you can go ahead and you can find tons of stuff on Flipper, or any of the other sites that we'll recommend to you in our training. But unless you actually look and see what the truth is, it's just like buying a piece of property. You're gonna bring in the home inspector. So what are we going to check on? What are we going to review? Well, we want to verify that the traffic is what they say it is, and we also want to look at the traffic trends. So is the traffic going down? Well, then maybe we're looking at a fad, and we don't want to be buying a fad unless we understand why, and we'll write it down.
Seasonal.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be seasonal too, right? Recent changes in the site. And there's reasons that we'll get into that in a second. The ownership. Do they really own the site? Kind of important. What's it really making? And what's the source of the income? We found a website that we thought was really fascinating, but 90% of the income came from one source. There's a bit of a risk there. If that one source goes away, we got a problem. So how stable is that one source, and is it a good bet?
And if it's a contracted source, it's really scary.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
mind you, all of tenant residential real estate listings are based on that. So.
Yeah, if you're buying commercial property and it's got one base tenant, and that tenant goes away, then what do you got? So same idea, okay. And then the content. Is the content real, or is it plagiarized? And a lot of things we have to consider here. So let's take a look at exactly how we do some of that. So.
Yeah, so the first one is we look to see that the traffic is real, and actually with Flipper and with other tools, we have a bunch of tools in our site that allow us to search across multiple networks all at once and do all of this due diligence stuff from the one page. But we check to see that the traffic has been verified. In this case, it has been. And so that's a plus straight off the bat. We then go on in the next slide to basically kind of have a look at what that traffic looks like. And in this instance, even though it's got peaks and troughs, you can see that it's generally steady. And so ideally we look for traffic that's generally on the rise. And in fact, a nice slow growth is really ideal. Dramatic growth is we try to avoid. It's not exciting because you don't know what they've done to get that. So slow, consistent growth over a long period of time is ideal, but steady traffic over a period of time is great. And you can see that in those charts. Now we go to the Wayback Machine because we want to make sure that if a site's 2 years old, we want to know that it's been doing the same thing for the last 2 years, and particularly when it comes to older sites, if they're 5, 10 years old, we want to see that it wasn't formerly used as a porn site, for instance, or some questionable activity that may have got it blacklisted in the past, which it may have trouble overcoming it. Mind you, we're looking at businesses that are making good returns right from the outset. And so oftentimes people go, oh, what about the SEO? And I'm not sure how knowledgeable you guys are in this area. Maybe it's not, not been properly optimized and for traffic, and it's not been properly SEO'd and all that sort of stuff. Actually, all of that's a bonus, because if they haven't done it properly, they're still making good money, because we're only buying sites that are making good money, and that's an opportunity for growth. So we use the Wayback Machine just to check and make sure that it hasn't been used in some nefarious manner in the past.
It's not evil.
Yeah. So we also check to see that the owner is the owner, and there are a couple of ways of doing that. We can do that through whois.sc or any of the Whois sites or lookup services. But Flipper, actually, if you do go into Flipper, Flipper will run their own ownership checks as well. So so that's the most important thing is the income, and we want to make sure that the income is legitimate. And the best way, not the only way, but the best way to do that is to get a video proof of the income by actually having the seller go into their back end and show you the income. And oftentimes when I've been doing this, we'll find that orders actually come through while you're on the call with them, and it gives you screenshots are way too easy to mock up. The best and ideal situation is get on Skype with them or something like that in a live call and have them show you through things, because then it's not necessarily a rehearsed thing. You can ask them, can you show me, I'll go back one page, or can you click on that and show me what's happening there, and then you absolutely know beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's a real thing.
And it's the same thing with Luis with your question. What if they have it blocked through Whois as a private registration? Same thing. Then you have them show you online where the private registration is.
Their GoDaddy account or something like that.
Exactly.
You can verify a lot of stuff. Yeah. And if there's a little golden rule, if the seller won't do these things for you, don't buy the site.
Yeah, run. I mean, and by the way, there's so many sites available that if your gut says don't do it,
just don't.
Don't do it. It's that simple. Okay. And here's the other thing too. Content. We got to make sure the content is actually owned. Okay. So you'll look through some of the Copyscape or other areas, and again, some of your brokers like a Flipper will also provide some of that scanning for you.
The reason we do this is there are some less than scrupulous sellers out there who will basically just they have this little trick where they just set up new websites with different URLs but fundamentally identical content, and they usually have one website that's pumping all the income into PayPal, and what they'll do is they'll quickly swap out the emails for a short while, and so then you get reports for that website for 3 weeks or something like this. And then they put the site on the market and they claim that income. for that particular site, but the site's actually been making its money from another website, or the income's been coming from another website. This is really common with young sites.
Yeah, there's scammers out
There's
there.
scams out
There's
there.
scammers out there. Just like there's scammers everywhere, which is why due diligence is so important, which is, again, why we want to
And
train
having
you.
a system.
Yeah, which is why we want to train you, and why we want you to be watching what we do so that you do it right. Because it's a great concept. I mean, buying houses is a great concept, but how many of you know people who have bought what they thought were great houses that, were falling down or there were major problems?
Or full of white ants or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, so we want to make sure that the due diligence takes care of you, and 90% of the risk can get eliminated, if not all of it, can get eliminated by doing the right due diligence. Okay, so question for you guys. Taking a look at Amazon and LinkedIn and some of these other things you're seeing on the screen, how many of you think that these were good investments? Were they good investments? For the investors, yeah, not so bad. These guys brought in LinkedIn, an annual profit, LinkedIn 71 cents, AOL brought in $44, Amazon and so on. Good numbers,
This is
right?
per $1,000 invested.
Per $1,000
It's
invested.
actually, no, I think LinkedIn's terrible and Amazon's terrible. AOL is barely acceptable and Google is barely acceptable.
But these are sexy businesses.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, I should have been involved in Google, right? Well, take a look at the alternative, my friends. Average revenue generated from a website on Flippa. Okay, what is that? $881 off of 1,000.
So it's an 88% return.
That's gigantic.
That's the average.
That's gigantic. Okay, so that's why we're so serious about this. And that's why we want to be particular about what it is that you buy and how you buy it, because you can do really, really well. Lucinda Brummett, she got her investment back in 4 months. That was her rate of return. 4 months. I can't compute that rate of return. Okay, and that's the beauty about actually working with us. So remember, I want you to stick around. We're nearly.
She sent me that email about 3 months after she actually was on this webinar.
Yeah, she's pretty excited, and you would be too, wouldn't you? When you get involved that way. So remember, we're going to give you this 8 key steps infographic after the webinar's over for those of you that are sticking around to the end. So congratulations for that. So let's get started. How do we get started?
Okay, so the quick and dirty way is to jump into Flipper and sign up. And it's really simple. It's just a really quick form. You create an account with them. And once you've created the account, there's a few more steps that you can do after that to verify that you're a real person and you're really doing business. And that helps because sellers want to know that whoever they're dealing with is actually a legitimate person. And then the next step is, it's quite simply, you just go and make a bid. Now, obviously, you do your discovery and your due diligence before you make the bid. And so this is why I recommend people spending, half an hour, 45 minutes a day each morning or whatever time suits them in the evenings before bed or whatever, to do regular searching and due diligence, because it gives you a bit of time when you kind of get up to speed. At first, you'll find deals that have got 1 day to run, and they're the most dangerous ones you want to avoid. You want something that's still running for 2 weeks, and it gives you a chance to get in contact with the seller, set up the video proof, and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so, don't get wrapped up in the drama and the emotion of, I only have 2 hours left.
Do it.
It's like buses. There's another one coming in another 5 minutes. There's over 1.5 million sites available for sale on Flippa. We figure, what was it, about 300,000 of them are probably sites we would be interested in.
Oh yeah, probably a third of the sites there are worth buying.
Okay, so the bottom line means there's enough opportunity.
500,000 sites that you can buy.
Don't sweat it if you miss one. Yeah. Right now, learn, follow, and learn, and that will also mean that you'll start getting comfortable with what the numbers are and what's there. You'll read what the comments are and what the discussions are about the sites. You'll start to get some trends, and of course, if you're part of our group, and if you're part of Buyers Club or part of the Inner Circle, you'll know the tricks that you'll know the ways to do things right. You'll know where the pitfalls are and how to overcome them. Mm-hmm. Bottom line, you guys, is if you simply follow directions, you can totally do this. And then, by the way, this is Eric on the top of what mountain is this?
This is Mount Agong in Bali.
Yeah, so you can completely do it. It's really, if you do it right, it's simple. It really is. Now,
actually, I was doing a deal halfway back down that mountain.
That day. It's Eric lives on his freaking iPhone. You know, I mean, if you want to piss him off, turn off the Wi-Fi. You know, I mean, that's he's
That's
wired.
not true. It's not true.
I enjoy teasing him,
Yeah.
but the thing is that he's doing deals. I mean, it's like, you know, what's up now? Well, we've got the guy in Europe is doing da da da, and we're doing this one, and you can do as much as you want, and the beauty is you can do it from anywhere. And frankly, you know, from when I see, I mean, Eric uses the iPhone as his office, and you can do the exact same thing. That's the point.
Actually, we're funding a sales expansion process in one of our businesses at the moment, and rather than going out, and it's a business, excuse me, it's a business that hasn't. Oh, this air conditioning is getting to me. It's a business that hasn't made a lot of sales yet, and so we thought let's get this thing cranked up and do some sales expansion. So what we did was, rather than go out and try and find an angel investor, which is what most people do, we simply applied the rules of Intervestor to our initial funding proposal to investors. And so what we did was we found a website that was making a 50% return, and we said to the investor, we'll give you a 25% return on your investment, guaranteed, secured against the asset, and we will use the other 25% of the income because this particular asset's making a 50% return. And that, in a nutshell, basically, that gave the investor $600,000 a year return, and we get $600,000 a year to fund the expansion of our business, which is a really healthy chunk of change.
It's nice. Yeah. So
and we don't have to put a cent up.
So yeah, it's great.
Not a cent.
So bottom line for you guys, though, is this. When you do a deal, when you buy your first site, a lot of people are thinking, well, now what do I got to do? I own it. Now what? How do I manage it? Well, not that difficult. You've heard of Fiverr, and you've probably heard of Odesk.
Now Upwork.
Odesk is now called Upwork. And the bottom line is you can outsource just about everything. You know, for those of you that know me, you know that I've got a team in the Philippines. I've got people in New York City. I've got people in Malaysia. I have people that work with us all over the world. You can do the exact same thing. And so it's super important for you to recognize that you don't have to work so hard at all. You know, you really don't have to work so hard at all. All you got to do is get started. So if you want to set up an account at Odesk, aka now Upwork. Upwork. I'm still an Odesk person. You just create an account for free, put in the description of what you want, and almost immediately you'll start getting offers for people that can actually do the job that you need to get done. So you don't have to work in your business. You can work on your business, but you don't have to work in your business. And in a lot of cases, you can inherit the team that's already running the site that you're buying as well. And when you're buying a site, the owner of that site or the seller of that site will train you, just like any other business. If you bought a restaurant, the previous owner is going to walk you through how you do a transition. So I wouldn't worry about that. And Freddie, the question Freddie's asking about would you recommend AdSense income sites?
I not as much these days. It's certainly they're stable. They're like a mainstay of the industry. But AdSense has its difficulties. We do use it. We have a bunch of AdSense sites, and so I'm not saying no, but there are better options, and there are much better ways to monetize a website. So we a friend of mine and one of our joint venture partners is a company called Centurica, run by a guy called Justin, and he surveyed several thousand website owners because they do a lot of due diligence and transacting assistance in this area. And what we discovered was that AdSense, as a general rule of thumb, makes around about 6 cents per visitor to your website, whereas things like online learning systems, affiliate offers make around about 38 cents per visitor, and online learning and this sort of thing around about $1 per visitor. So they're significantly more profitable. But yeah, AdSense is great because it's super easy.
Yeah.
If you've got a website that's just growing naturally.
And the other thing too, by the way, think about this is, yeah, you can run AdSense, and I'm not a big fan of having that be the majority of your income. So if you found a site that was using a lot of AdSense, and then you started to replace that AdSense income with income from what Eric was just talking about, or if you owned a number of sites and replaced the AdSense advertising with income.
Actually, what we don't even replace. We just leave AdSense exactly where it is, and we add affiliate offers to the articles.
What I'm saying, though, is not just even affiliate offers, but if you had 5 websites that were all selling complementary items, advertise your other sites to each other's sites, so that you're cross-promoting. Exactly. So an example of what I'm talking about right over here is Steve McKinley. He went ahead and he bought his site for $75,000, brings in a little over $3,200 per month, which is $38,000 a year. His ROI is 51%.
Actually, it brought in $32,228.53 his very first month.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Now, Eric, how do you know that?
Well, because in the past we were running a thing called the partner program, where we basically partnered up with our members and bought websites. So we bought this one together.
Yeah, so pretty cool, right? I mean, and the nice thing is that we do work together, which is really important. Now, this business, does he run this business?
God, no.
No, in fact,
he loves to badger me about it, but no, he doesn't run it.
No, he doesn't run it. So you don't have to run it. He's hanging out on his boat. So what would it take to run this business? Eric and I talked about this one just last night. This business takes about how much for him to run?
Well, we spend around about $400 a month thereabouts, outsourced all of the work basically.
So you've got a turnkey business that costs virtually nothing. So you're looking at an ROI of about 50 or so percent, pretty significant here. So that's again what we're looking at doing. Now I got to tell you, thinking about where to find these sites, those of you asking, we mentioned Flip a few times, but there's brokerages like websitebroker.com. We recommend websiteproperties.com. Empire Flippers has great websites available.
Actually, Justin from Empire is a great guy. Their prices are a little high, around about 22-month multipliers, but they do a lot of the due diligence before, and they only offer properties that they believe in, and they stand by their property. So they're really good with these guys.
So it's the same thing if you went for sale by owner versus working with a broker. You may spend a little bit more money, but you also have some comfort and confidence of working with someone who's helping you. So you've got some choices here, and again, we'll take you through why and how, and you can certainly use a combination of all of them. It makes no difference. The big key is this: if we're right now, if this is like what your life looks like right now, it's just a massive pandemonium and a lot of work and a lot of running around a lot of different directions. I got some news for you. There is no reason to be on the hamster wheel anymore. There's a faster and easier way to take what you're currently doing and put it into play to where you get more rapid results, more consistent results, and the ability to leverage where you already are, so you can take what you're currently doing and instantly add some momentum to it to get you a whole lot more money. So if that's what interests you, then I invite you to dive on in with us. How many of you are enjoying what you're hearing right now? How many think you can actually apply this to your current business where it can make a whole bunch of difference for you? Let me see your hands in here. Give me a big yes. So as you said, I'm seeing a bunch of yeses here. Yeah, perfect.
One of our students recently was starting up a range of like organic food. One of the problems that she was facing was that, to get into the marketplace, to get into retailers is actually quite a tricky thing to do. And what happened with her was we basically went out and found a website that was selling organic teas. And so she just bought that and vended her product into that. And so by buying that site, not only did she have a place to immediately start selling her product that already had traffic, already had established business and customers, but it also had a distribution network in New Zealand, which they'd done a deal for. And so she just vended it straight into that. And so, yeah, there's some really, in terms of expanding your existing business, there's some amazing opportunities to do that.
I mean, so we could go on from, it replaces the risk from a startup. You no longer have a startup. You now have an existing business. You get the ability to go ahead and add instant customers for your current offerings that maybe you've been struggling with. There's so many different ways to make this work, which is why I tell you and remind you that companies like Apple and Costco and Trader Joe's and the virtually every company out there that's been successful as a Fortune 500 has bought their way to success. Think about some of the leading radio stations and TV stations. They all began one by one, putting it all together. In fact, AT&T was all the creation of multiple acquisitions.
The single biggest path of growth for any business in the world, and this is the same for every single one of them, the single biggest surge that people experience in business is through merging and acquisition.
Yeah. So if the big guys are doing it, why aren't we doing it? And once again, you can do it on a really affordable basis. Sean Candy purchased $14,000. Income, get a load of this, $1,500 a month.
He's actually had $4,000 months as well.
Yeah. So, $18,000 a year coming in, that's 128% rate of return. And we can go on and on and on with it. But at this point, I think it's appropriate. If you guys want to hear about our inner circle and how you can play and become part of our inner circle and do this on your own,
so that's some basic content there. That we've given you information that will allow you to actually go out and do this and do it with you know what? You've got more of a system than 95% of the buyers that are in the marketplace doing this. And so you know now the fundamentals of what to avoid and what to look for to get started. So if it's okay with you guys, if you feel like the content that we've provided you so far has been really helpful, if you'll allow us to show you what we do and how we can help you, please show hands and we'll run you through that. Cool.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm seeing Randy, Brian, Don, Ted, Ellen, Mary. Okay, great. Let's get rocking and rolling. So Inner Circle really has 5 great basic modules, and we'll take you through what they are and what you're going to learn and where it's going to go. So in module number 1, we go through the basics of websites, what they are, how you're going to find them, the types of deals in the sites, the simple discovery process to find the sites that are the good sites, not the ones that are junky, but the ones that are really important to you. And then looking at the market segments where they're growing. So we want to be sure, for example, when I showed you the site that had the Be Calm page, or Stay Calm, the Stay Calm one, the trend on that was dropping because it was a fad. So we want to be sure that we're looking at growing market segments as opposed to not. And then how to find domains and high value profit along multiple networks. In module number 2, we're going to evaluate the deal. That's our due diligence. So we'll take a look at the big picture of everything, then go to the front end and the back end of each deal to determine what makes sense and why. Then we're going to reveal to you the due diligence tools that we use to streamline the process so you don't have to do it all yourself. In other words, we're going to show you how to find the home inspector, but the right home inspector, the one that really does do the best due diligence in the marketplace, because that's the key. That's what really makes it easier, and so you can breathe easy and know that you're getting exactly what you want. Okay, and also you're going to learn how to evaluate the transaction history and how to find that transaction history for 3 to 4 years.
What that means, and it probably doesn't mean anything to you, but what that line means is that we have kept a record of every single transaction for the last 3.5, I think it's close to 4 years now, of every sale that's happened on every network. And so when you are looking up a seller and their history, you can go back and see all the buyer comments from the last 4 years. And generally, a lot of people that are selling, they're kind of serial entrepreneurs. They will set up a website. This is like 90% of the sellers that we come across. They'll set up a website, they'll launch it, it'll do well, it'll do really well actually, but it's not the next Facebook or the next Instagram, and so these guys tend to be very project driven, and so they will turn around and sell it because they've got another upcoming project that they're absolutely convinced is going to be the next Facebook, and that's where the opportunity actually lies in all of this.
Yeah, so again, it's mitigating the risk. And then we're going to talk about how to actually do the deal. So how to buy it, take the emotions out of the game, and then when to bail, because there are a lot of points when in the negotiation you're gonna get some information that will say no. So best to say no and move on to the next one, and not try to work it and make the square peg fit the round hole. You learn how to buy below market value, the basic steps of your successful acquisitions, and then we'll talk about some simple deal funding. Again, we're finding more and more ways of helping you fund your deals using some untraditional and traditional financing methods too, so that your rate of return becomes infinite when you don't even use any of your own cash or very little of your own cash. Then, once you have it, how do we grow it? So we're going to talk about you'll hear the ultimate profit formula. You learn some simple strategies that can absolutely increase your value very quickly. We're going to talk about deal flipping. Even though we're not really big fans of flipping these things, you still want to know that you can flip the deal. And I think it's important because that way you get a much better feeling for the value of what you've created and what you are creating, to know that you've got a significant asset. And you'll be proud of that. It's pretty exciting to do that. We're also going to talk about how you can improve your automation to make your website, better yet, to make your business far more efficient and far more effective. And the more automation you put in the important areas, the more you'll be able to multiply your profit. And then we're going to talk about duplication. What's duplication?
Well, duplication is where you might have a e-commerce store that's working really well in Australia, and you basically take it somewhere else. So you open up the English market or the New Zealand market or the American market, or you have an American site and you open it up as a Canadian site as well. And so, and once you've got a winning formula, then and you've already bought your promotional process, you know exactly what to do. It's a really simple process of duplicating that.
Yeah. And that's great. People miss that opportunity. If you take a look at just the emerging markets, what a great way to expand.
Now, with many sites, you don't need to duplicate because they're global. But with e-commerce stores particularly, where you have suppliers in a given market, for instance, a lot of suppliers in the States won't ship anywhere else outside of the States, and vice versa.
So once you have it, then how do we continue to manage it? Well, we'll look at your basic business structure. What's important about how to run your digital business? How to outsource for success. That's going to be key for you and for your success and for your sanity. Selecting the right vendors to provide services to you. There's people that we know, like, and trust. We'll share that list of vendors with you, and then we'll reveal some of the best practices for actually continuing to grow that business so you can enjoy your life the way you want.
Actually, right now, and I haven't told Ken about this, but right now we're putting together a framework that will be able to give you access to. There are 5 basic types of sites, and each one is run slightly differently. And we actually are at the moment putting together frameworks for each one of those websites. So you basically will have access to that, and it's literally just color in the numbers system. So it makes it really, really simple for you to get going.
So yeah, you're gonna have a lot of growth, because we're continuing to develop as well. You're also going to get access to our Facebook community. Now, the cool thing about this is that it's going to be some significantly high-level worldwide networking. As you can tell, we have people from all over the world that are investing in sites and are part of our group from all over. So you'll be able to connect both with our buyers as well as with sellers, and get your questions answered as much as a real time as we can. I mean, we're based here in Asia, but we run weird hours. So it's a great way for you to stay up to date, stay motivated, stay excited, and really be wrapped into the forward element of this.
These are all the bonuses.
Yeah, and there's so much that you're getting with this. I mean, first of all, we do a live Q&A every week. Normally it's $129 a month. You're going to get 6 months of that for free. And frankly, a lot of people don't stay longer than a few months, because once they learn how to do it, they don't need to come into the Q&A. But you're welcome to come in, and a lot of them are using Facebook and using the Facebook group. Facebook is, of course, lifetime, so you'll get access to that. You're also going to get what Eric put together. It's called the Ultimate Buyer's Checklist. It's a $50 value, and you're going to get that as well, so that you follow that. Listen, a pilot, when he launches a plane, follows a pre-flight, follows that checklist. If they don't do pre-flight, they don't get up in the air. So you're going to use our buyer's checklist just as a pilot would do a pre-flight, to make sure that you've gone through every possible scenario, to be sure that you've done the right thing, and so you make the actual right purpose. Then there's the Investor Toolkit in the toolbox, and the toolbox is a $50 a month value. You're going to get that absolutely for free. Now, the cool thing about the toolbox is this: we have a ton of tools that we bought here at Intervestor, and we have the ability to allow you to use those same tools that we're spending $50 or more a month on. You're able to go in and use our toolbox and use them to evaluate and fine-tune what you're doing within your business. We have tools such as what?
Excuse me. So we have essentially the primary function of the Intervestor toolbox is to find and evaluate websites. So instead of just using Flipper and being exclusive to that market, we have access to, I think, around about 27 at last count, different sources where we find websites for sale. And that's all we go out and gather that information. We pull it back into the tools pages in Intervestor in our academy, and from there you can then pull information like you can run SEM rush reports. I think we offer, I think it's 50 a month or something like that. And that's normally a paid service of its own. I think they sell that for $49 a month, something along those lines. You can evaluate the sellers. You can find mobile apps for sale. You can search for brokered deals across the networks. And what we do is we pull it all in and we collate it and we put it into a consistent format that makes it easier for you guys to be able to see what's going on.
Cool. So that's the tool. And then we have the member resources. And that's, frankly, we can't even count the value of that because it's just so significant. Member resources include our documents library. You're going to see the purchase contracts and the letters of intent and all the forms that we've spent thousands of dollars developing over the years to make sure that what you buy is bought safely. And because there's a lot of what we call reps and warranties that need to be included in every acquisition to be sure that you're safe and to be sure that what you're buying is yours and you're getting all the things you need to get. That's just fundamental.
To go to a lawyer and put together a contract, and generally you find that lawyers they haven't generally had a lot of experience in buying online assets. So to go to a lawyer and do this, it actually ends up being a fairly costly exercise. Well, we've got the templates for pretty much everything that you can think of that you'll need, which you can then take to, if you're finding it, particularly this applies to bigger sites, but you can take to your lawyer and say, okay, this is the fundamental format. All I need you to do is tweak it to our specific deal, and here's the deal parameters. So, the company name is this, the seller's name is that, that's their address, phone number, and all that sort of stuff. And you just tweak it for your particular circumstances.
So that's really key. Also, we've got access to preferred listings, and these are with some of the brokers and some of the sources that we like a lot. So you're going to have access to those as well. You're also going to have access to some of the events that we're party to that we can get you some insider access to as well. And Eric's new book on intervesting you'll get as well. So that's all included in the members resource area. Then you're going to get access to our DFY, or Done For You VIP membership. And this is really important for you because it's going to allow you to actually have us help you get stuff done. It's a $500 value. You're going to get access to that. You'll get access to our resources, and some of them you're going to pay for directly, but you're going to get preferred pricing with our preferred vendors. So things such as the needs assessment, getting your due diligence done, site management, site transfers, and again, access to our preferred vendors. Frankly, it will save you a bunch of money to use somebody that we've already used and recommended rather than trying some of the folks on your own that you may not be terribly comfortable with. And then you'll have some of the preferred pricing as well because, again, you're working with people that we work with, and you'll be able to have access to our preferred pricing. Then you're going to get access to Intervestor Capital. Now, Intervestor Capital, I mentioned earlier, is our fund, and this is where we're looking at larger websites, and you can have access to actually leveraging our knowledge and connections. Returns, we're conservative with this by saying that our average net return is 25%, but again, because we're dealing as an investment fund, we've got to be conservative in our disclosure. We want to see you getting 30% and up.
This is for people, and it's people tend to mix this up. A bit. They'll go out and buy their own sites, and then they'll invest in the fund as well. So this is primarily for people who are looking for passive income, but passive income with a decent yield. And so 25. It makes me laugh. I had a giggle then when Ken says, conservative estimates, and 25% return in any industry, in any investment is generally considered outrageously good. But in our industry, it's actually there's some costs that are associated with that, and that's why it's lower than doing it yourself. But it's a whole lot easier. So you don't make quite as much money, but you do. You don't have to do anything at all.
Yeah, this is truly a great place for your retirement funds to self-direct into the fund because it's passive investing. We do all the work. And again, it's a big.
And this is a legitimate investment fund.
Yeah.
It's an offshore fund, just so you understand. We wanted to make it to give people as much tax advantage opportunity as possible, so you can declare it. You don't have to declare it. You can do whatever you want to do, whatever your accountant tells you to do.
I'm going to stop right there. You're going to follow whatever tax rules are required that you follow.
Well, you do, no, but it happens offshore. So
yeah. So and I'm going to recommend that you consider using your retirement money. For those of you that are in the U.S., where you can self-direct with an IRA or 401k, it's a great opportunity for you to take that money, which is probably not giving you anywhere close to those yields, and put them into a place that will allow you to do that. So that's available to you as well.
It's managed by a qualified, certified investment broker and financial advisor as well, by the way.
So that's a huge opportunity. Now, the Intervestor Capital has a $1,000 initiation fee that will be waived for you because you're part of the Inner Circle family. So to kind of sum it all up,
because you're on this webinar, actually, is the main reason. This is because Ken twisted my arm.
Yeah, well, I want people to build a long-term future. So you can go ahead and you can build a business today, but you can also have income to take you for lifetime. So Inner Circle is $19.95 a year, $2,000 a year. The cost of a value of $774. The toolbox at $50 a month is $600 annually. The Intervestor resources, frankly, we can't put a price tag on it. It really is priceless. Your VIP membership has a $500 one-time membership fee, and Intervestor Capital, we're waiving the $1,000. So you're looking at a total value of this entire package of nearly $5,000. But of course, we're going to take great care of you. Your investment right now, when you go to tpcourses.com/Intervestor, is only going to be $9.97. But there's more, and we're going to do that. We're going to take good care of you. For those of you that like the idea, how many of you like the idea about being part of our Buyers Club, where we actually go out and buy sites, and you are part owner of the site that we create, and you're actually a piece of the site? How many of you like that idea? I'm seeing a bunch of yeses. Yeah, it's really learning by doing. Yeah, David says me. Graham says love it. Well, here's what we did. Buyers Club, again, Buyers Club is brand new, and it's almost like a Kickstarter program because Amy says $9.97 is a steal. Well, here's how it's set up. Buyers Club is, again, it's kind of like a Kickstarter program. We're not going to actually begin looking at getting a site for Buyers Club until we have 20 people that are in Buyers Club. Buyers Club will have a $5,000 investment, and we want to leave it at $5,000. It's a minimum investment for sure, and whether you use your credit card or whatever is fine. It's not money that is paid to us. In other words, that's not a tuition or anything. It is strictly your investment. It's paid in capital.
100% of it goes towards buying a website.
Yeah, so it's really, we're buying together. The $19.97 initiation fee for you now, we will waive for the first 7 people that go to tpcourses.com/Intervestor. Buyers Club, because of the fact that it is a serious investment, we want people that are absolutely serious in being part of it. So it will be sold at a $2,000 initiation because there's a training that goes with it. I mean,
that's actually what it's sold for all the time.
Yeah. So the bottom line is that Buyers Club, because we're initiating this for you, first 7 people that go to tpcourses/Intervestor will get Buyers Club included in this package. And again, you will be watching over our shoulder as we build our site. Once we get to the 20 members, then that's when you pay in your capital, and we go actually do the acquisition. And you'll see exactly how we do it because we'll be doing live calls with you guys, some live, some pre-recorded, to show you exactly how we are doing this together. Okay. I know no better way to have you absolutely active and successful than to put you into Buyers Club and have you take charge of your economics.
The thing that I'm so excited about with Buyers Club, and when I say we're selling this at $19.90, it's actually $19.95. That's the initiation fee for the fund as it stands right here, right now, today. And so Buyers Club is kind of like an entry. It's a method for you to come into the fund at a lower entry point and take advantage of what I believe are the best deals in the marketplace right now, which are deals that are in the price range between $100,000 and $300,000. These sites tend to be very stable. They tend to be a bit older. They tend to have really good quality income streams. They tend to have multiple transactions, which the more transactions a site has, the more stable the income. And so, one of the issues with buying smaller sites, in fact, the really small sites are the most difficult to buy, because they're the most unstable and they're the most reactive. So Buyers Club is a fantastic opportunity, because you get to invest in a much larger, more stable site, and you learn every single step of the way. You're looking over my shoulder while I'm actually making the calls to the sellers. We then debrief afterwards. So I'll run a webinar and then I'll do a Skype call while I'm on the webinar, and you will be able to sit in on the whole thing. And we record all that, and you learn everything.
What a great way to eliminate any part of fear or worry or whatever, and actually be making money at the same time. So Amy says, done, I'm in. Yeah, I mean, this, to me, Amy, this was exactly the way to ensure that you become successful. Because we're all in it together. So that's the first super special bonus for you.
And we're only going to offer this initiation fee waiver for the first 7 people that are in. So if you're interested, jump in now.
Freddie says he's got. Amy, did you? I need to check on something. Could you please go to that link?
No, we can give the other.
Well, but let's just please test that for me, would you? Because I'm going to see if Freddie's. It's tpcourses.com/Intervestor. Freddie's saying that he's got a problem with the page.
Okay, there is the other page, the ICWS.
But that's just a forward. So if it doesn't work, it's not going to go all the way through. But the other thing I've got, we're going to check on this for you, Freddie, right now. No, Freddie, it works. Amy's in and she's already paid. So Freddie, you might want to just refresh that. Maybe you mistyped it, but it's working because Amy's in and she's already paid. So no problem. Freddie says it's an empty shell. It totally worked, Freddie, because Amy's in and she said she's already paid.
What's the URL again?
tpcourses.com/Intervestor. Also, by the way, let me continue on here because this is really important for you guys. We want to be sure that, let me go back here. We want to be sure that you are 100% successful and that we're working together.
I've got the page here.
The page works, and you're able to go
just
through.
refresh your browser, or maybe try using another browser.
Freddie says the sales page works. Perfect. That's the sales page, Freddie. That's exactly what's supposed to be there. What you want to do is we want to get to know who you are. So really important, because if we're going to work together, we want to be able to help you mount a strategy that's going to give you the best bang for the buck. So we're going to do a one-on-one personal strategy session, whether it be Eric or me or another member of our team.
This is hugely valuable, I find.
The bottom line is that unless we're working together, really working together, we're not going to get you really the direction you want to go in, because this is a personal thing. And so as we build this, and we can't do this for everybody, of course, we're going to do this for the first 7 people as well. So Amy, you're in. And for the rest
well
of you,
done, Amy.
Yeah, congratulations. So for the rest of you, by the way, if you're having an issue coming in for whatever reason, like Freddie maybe, just put something in the chat and let me know so that we can monitor that, because I don't have access right now to anything other than my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so if you're in, just put in the chat that I'm in, and so we can kind of monitor that for you. But I believe it's really important, again, to get to know you better, number one. Number two, make sure that we are able to give you the best really service, so that you're guided in a way that's going to make your business take it from where it is right now to where you want it to be. There are some things that you may not have even thought about in terms of how you can properly leverage what you're doing right now with the Intervestor strategy. So I want to make sure that you're perfect. Okay, Freddie, this is a sales page. It's not a website. It is a sales page. It is a place for you to order. Okay, that's the purpose of the page, and that's all that we're giving you right now, my friend. Okay, so if you need something else, we can get back to you later. But that's what this is all about, my friend. Okay, so bottom line, you guys, is this: our success rate is pretty significant. By the way, the total value with everything together is $5,369 plus the strategy session. Actually, this number was 4,000 something. I did the numbers wrong here. It's a $7,000 value. That's correct. But it's yours today for $997. And by the way, it's $997 lifetime, one payment. Which
is a massive savings, because actually, guys, I sell this for $19.95, I think it is, per year. So that if you go to our main website, that you'll see the pricing. Actually, no, I think we're only sorry.
But the bottom line is this is a one-time payment. I'm not sure how long this will last. And again, we're giving you the first 7 people on Buyers Club included right now as really a marketing test for us. Brandy says, thanks for the presentation. Louise says, I'm in. Awesome. Thanks. Looking forward to expanding. I think you're going to love it, Louise. I'm really thrilled to have you on board. I see Ted is in. Congratulations, Ted. Sally's logging in right now. Congratulations. Thanks, Sally. Awesome. Bottom line, you guys, is this. I mean, you can continue along the same path you've been going on, and do what you've been doing, and you'll keep getting what you're getting, or you can join us and really be part of a giant celebration. 40% of the people that are in Intervestor right now, 40% plus, are taking action on their own. They haven't had Buyers Club to work with yet. Buyers Club is new for us. Now, when you come in and you join Buyers Club, okay, and you participate in Buyers Club, that's 100% now. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to get it as much as we can, which is why we created this in the first place. So once again, go to tpcourses.com/Intervestor. And of course, everything you do with us at Totalpreneur is 100% guaranteed. So we have a 30-day guarantee on this, as with everything else. So you know you're safe and secure. My big question for you guys is this. Isn't it time you started living your life your way? You know, that's the reason why we created this, so that you could have life on your terms, your way, your how. I mean, we want you to kind of awaken your inner hippie and live it in your style. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to build from website business to website business, digital business to digital business, and build and build and build. And I want to see you guys have multiple businesses as much as you possibly can. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. I see what we have here. I see what that is. So that's the bottom line. So if there's questions, I'll be happy to take some questions with Eric. But we want to bring you in. So to clarify, let's see, will there be a need for additional 5K for Buyers Club? Yes, Amy, there will. Buyers Club is an investment. So the $997 is your training with the Inner Circle and with all the bonuses and benefits that come with it. And then Buyers Club, of course, it's optional. You can choose to participate or not participate.
Oh, you don't have to.
It's not mandatory. I mean, to be part of Buyers Club and have access to the Buyers Club activities, you got to be an investor. In other words, we're not letting just anybody into those calls to watch over our shoulder. That's exclusive to Buyers Club only, which is why Buyers Club has a $2,000 membership. We're waiving that for the first 7. So the cool thing is that if you don't need the $5,000 today, as soon as we get to our 20 members or 20 active members of Buyers Club, then we'll start actually looking at the site to acquire. Now, what we're probably going to ask you to do is put that $5,000 into an escrow account at that time, so that way we don't have to scramble when it comes time to actually getting the purchase done. Because the last thing I want to do is be like trying to track 20 different people for their money when we have to submit it by Friday, kind of thing. So we'll give you the strategy on how that all goes together. But yeah, that's how that plays out. And then and so you have time to put that together is what I'm getting at. Any other questions, you guys? Any other questions? Happy to ask those or answer rather those questions. So it looks like I've got. Let me see who else. I think I've got like 2 or 3, and I can't really tell here, Buyers Club spots left and strategy sessions left. So go ahead and do that right now. By the way, if you do need a payment plan, we do have the ability to do that for you. It looks like our forward didn't get put into the payment plan link. So if you do need that, let me know. By the way, if you want to finance this with 0 payments for 6 months, if you are American, we do have the ability to give you PayPal's Bill Me Later, or it's now called PayPal Credit. So if you go ahead in and you should see an option there on your screen. You should, if you're eligible for it, you'll see an option for that. So are there any other questions I'm happy to answer for you? Yeah, Tim, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining with us. The answer is, yeah, we're going to be starting the Buyers Club as soon as we hit our 20-person tip-off, our tip-off point. So we're getting closer now with that. We have another few presentations over the next couple weeks. So we'll keep you informed as to how that plays out. Also, one other thing, we're processing your access to the members area manually. Actually, we're just testing right now a system. You may get a welcome letter immediately. If not, you'll get it within the next couple of hours. I believe that we did have our automation integrated, but that was just done within the past couple of hours. So just in case. So cool. Julie says thank you. That's great. Max, sure, Max, give me your Skype or your phone number, and we'll give you a call. Happy to answer your questions and work with you. Okay, and great, Julie. Not familiar with who those people are, but congratulations on that. Anybody else? Anybody other questions before I say goodbye? Because I want to value your time. So, okay. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us. I am thrilled to have you with us. Oh, Max, make sure you give me your. David says, "I can't wait to get going." Yeah, well, we're going to get you access to the members area within the next few hours if you haven't received it already. So that's good to know. But Max, give me your information, and we'll give you a shout in just a couple of minutes. So just waiting on that. Okay, I'm still waiting for that. Okay, here we go. And you're in the US. Okay, perfect. So are we able to reach you with this number now, Max?
While we're waiting for Max to respond, I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I'm really excited, those of you that have jumped in, to start working with you really soon. I do actually run the Q&A calls myself. I really like to work directly with everyone, and so you'll be able to chat with me on a weekly basis on the calls. And these are actually meeting calls. It's not a webinar where you don't have a voice. It's an open discussion. So you can ask questions not via a chat box, but directly vocally, which I find works a whole lot better. It just keeps the flow going really well. So yeah, I'm excited to work with you guys.
Cool. Well, okay, you guys. Well, thanks for joining us, Amy. We're going to I just put a message back in the chat to you. We'll check manually and make sure those welcome emails go out to you. Max will give you a call in just a few minutes once we hang up. And looking forward to David. Richard says great presentation. The IRA question, great question, Richard. Does the IRA money need to come from a self-directed IRA? Yeah. What we'll do is I've worked with a number of different companies in the past when we were doing our real estate programs. One of the companies that did a phenomenal job was a company called Equity Trust. There's another one, the name is escaping me, but you can use a self-directed IRA. You can also work with a 401k in certain circumstances. And you can also, of course, have a defined benefit plan invest as well. It's a really simple process. And so and it requires a little bit on our end to give them the information about what the investment is, and then you set up the account, and there's an annual fee that goes along with that. That's minimal considering the yield that you're getting. So that's going to be. I think it's a huge way of turning your retirement money into some significant income, because frankly, well, you know what you're getting on your retirement program. So anyway, so welcome on that. Oh no, Amy, we weren't going to call you tonight. We're calling Max. No, you'll get an email within the next couple of hours. We're not going to. There's no call scheduled. That we'll schedule your strategy call, and we'll do that via email. So no worries on that. Don't worry about that at all. No, Max had a couple of questions for us, so we're going to give him a call and take care of those. Okay, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you that are having a day here on this side of the world, in Melbourne and other parts of Australia, enjoy your day. Thank you guys for sticking with us tonight. For those of you in Europe, I really appreciate it. For those of you in the US, have an amazing night. And for those of you anywhere that I've missed, glad to have you with us. Eric, a pleasure always to be with you. And we're all looking forward to working with you and helping you become both the ultimate totalpreneur and the most successful Intervestor out there. See you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.